Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Whispered Sums 2. And you can see here in the thumbnail, Sleuth is whispering busily to one of his colleagues here in uniform, presumably about sums, and I really have no idea why. Maybe they are about to interview a criminal, a mastermind that just throws up their hands in despair as soon as you start whispering some sums to them. Who knows? Yeah, speaking of which, let's just take a look at today's rule set and puzzle. So we have Whispered Sums 2 by AverageCrow. I'm quite looking forward to this. Aside from the phenomenal rating associated with the puzzle is, I think it was 96% when I clicked on it. I may be wrong about this, apologies. But there is a bit of a variant today on killer cages, which I'll get to in a second. First off, let's do the normal rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. That means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Pretty standard. Then we have the XV rule set. Although I don't see any X's, it's just V's. Digits separated by a V sum to 5, such as if this is a 2, this would have to be a 3 to make sure that this V domino adds up to 5, this adds up to 5, 5, 5, etc. Not all V's are given, so that 2 could have a 3 right next to it, and the fact that there is no V between these two cells doesn't cause us a problem. We have KROPKI dots, and there are black dots. They have to be in a 2-to-1 ratio. So for example, if this is a 2, this would have to be a 1 or 4. As long as one cell is double the other, you're absolutely good to go. We also have white KROPKI dots, such as this cell over here. Now, if this is a 3, for it to be consecutive, which is a requirement in here, this could be 2 or 4. The fact that this would also end up being consecutive to the 3 is not a problem, by the way. So the absence of a white dot here is not an issue. And let's say the absence of a black dot between these two is not a problem either. So what else do we have? We've got the German whisper line. So digits along a green line must have at least a difference of 5. Let's continue out. Well, actually, let's go with this 3 here. So if I place a 3, the 2 neighboring cells must be 5 or more away. In the case of 3, that could be 8 or 9. And you end up with this pattern here where you're oscillating between a high digit, a low digit, a high digit, low being 1, 2, 3, 4, high being 6, 7, 8, 9. Notice in my list I never included a 5. If you try and put a 5 in here, I challenge you to find 2 digits that are valid under normal Sudoku rules that are 5 or more away. Lastly, we have the variant killer cage. So, digits inside a cage, such as this one here, may not contain any repeated digits, and their sum is determined by the sum of the digits in the green line in the same box. And actually, they give us an example here in box 7. So, if the digits on the line are 183, 183, then we know that this box in box 7 must sum up to 12, as in 1 plus 8 plus 3 comes up to 12, and therefore this killer cage must be 12. Now, the way I'm going to interpret this is, these 3 cells come up to a value. That value would have to be whatever this cage is, and the same is true for this cage, as opposed to all the cages are equal to these 3 digits. So, if you want to whisper sums to a colleague of yours, no idea why you would want to do that. If you want to play this particular puzzle, link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock, see how I get on. So I'm looking at box 4. Whenever I see 3 black KROPKI dots, I always have to go for it. Reason is, if you're thinking about black KROPKI dots, really there's only 2 sets of pairs that can ever work. It's either 1, 2, 4, 8 or 3, 6. And essentially treat the 1, 2, 4, 8 as a number line for me to find 3 digits that are unique because they're all in the same column and box. It's either 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8 in some order. Obviously, I can reverse it. I can go 8, 4, 2. Now, whichever one it is, you can see that the 2 or the 4 is in the middle, surrounded by 1, 2, 4, 8. The reason I'm keeping this on the screen is this has to be 3 or 6. If it's, it clearly cannot be from 1, 2, 4, 8 because I'm going to use 3 of them. let's say I use 1, 2, 4, the 8 here can't possibly be on the black KROPKI dot paired up with nothing. So this is 3, 6. If that's a 6, that would be 1. If that's a 3, that would be 8 or 9. That's plenty for the moment. I am going to probably use a lot of colors because I can see, if you think about these, they can only be made up as a 1, 4 pair or a 2, 3 pair to add up to 5 in 2 cells. More importantly, that means that this is low, and because I mentioned this in the beginning, that it oscillates between low and high digits, essentially all of these alternate cells have to be low, and all of these alternate cells have to be high. I'm not sure I'm going to copy, as in I'm not sure I'm going to keep coloring the rest of the grid. I may stop at here for now. On a black KROPKI dot, we went through all of the possible digits. This can only be 6 or 8, and therefore this neighbor here can only be 3 or 4. I'm going to stick around in row 7 for a second. On a German whisper line, I said in the intro, there can never be a 5. So I know that there is a 5 amongst these cells. Specifically, this is not a 5 on a black KROPKI dot because, that'd be nonsense. It'll be 2.5 or 10, neither of which is allowed. So essentially, whichever one I have, whether it's 6 and 3, this would actually have to rise. It would go 3, 4, and 5. And if this is 8, this would still have to rise because I still need to fit a 5 in the middle. So it will go 4, 5, and 6. So there's a 5 between these two cells. There's a 4 between these two cells. Sort of makes sense because I can't put 4 in these two locations. It would require a double 9. Well, I do need to place a 3 in these two cells. Right, that's the answer. This has to be 4, because I can't put a 4 in here. And if that's the case, that is the 4. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just finish that thought. The 4 is not in... I need 2 blue cells in row 7. Sorry, 4 blue cells in row 7. I've only got 2 of them. 2 of them have to be here. And I've got 4... I don't know why it took me so long to spot this. This can't be a 6. That's a 5, 4, 3, 6, 1. And remember now... Oh, well, this is the 2. So... yeah, that doesn't tell me much. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got... these are from 7, 8, 9. The 1 here means this is a 2, 3 option. That can't be the 3 with a 6. That's gone. That's 2. That's 3. That 2 now. This is not 1 from the 1, 4 option. That's a 4. This is already at 9. We have another digit in here. We'll figure out what that is in a second. This is 7 plus at least another 7, if not 8 or 9. So we're talking about 14, 15, or 16. More specifically, this is a 7, this is a 9. So this cell is 2 away from whatever this is. So this is essentially 5, 6, or 7. Can't be a 6, so 6 is gone, and therefore 8 is gone from here. 8 is now in these 2 cells. There's nowhere else it can be in the box. Looking very helpfully at this run of 3 black KROPKI dots. So we know that this is a 2 surrounded by 1, 4. I meant to say 1, 4, this is it. This 3 gives us an order, and that's a 6, that's a 3. Therefore, this is 8 or 9. I think we're going reasonably well. Reasonably well. I think the 3 here, I mean, may as well continue. It means all of these are low. All of these are high. We've got the same thing in here, and this time it's not 6. It is definitely an 8, and therefore this is definitely a 4. Surrounding an 8 is 1, 2, or 3. You can see this is not 1 or 2. That's a 3 that's placed. We also know that's not 3. This is 1 or 2. These are 2 cells that are not 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is reasonably high. It's a minimum of 5, 6. In fact, there's definitely a 6, just classic Sudoku. There's definitely a 6. Now, I also know it's not a 5, because this is 5, 6 would add up to 11. I'm already at 11, and I still have another cell that's 1 or 2. And it has to be 2. If I make this 1, I didn't mean to select both of these. If I make this 1, I'm now adding up to 12, but there's definitely a 6 in here because of classic Sudoku. And then that would require a partner, which is also 6. So that doesn't work. This is 6, 7. That's a 9. Presumably this is now 5, 8, 8. Let's try that again. And this is the only place left for a 7 in box 7. Now that I need to add up to 13, the 4 would be joined with a 9. I am left with 1, 5 in here, and that 1 tells me the order. That's 1, that's 5. These two cells are known, they are 7, 9. And these two cells are also known, they are 8, 5, 8. 2 to be 5 or more away is 6 or 7. It's actually quite restricted. And it's got to be a 7, because if this is a 6, hang on, I'm not thinking straight. It's 7 or 8, it's not a 9. That's what I meant to say. If it is a 7, that would have to be 2 because 1 is not available. And if it's 8, it can go up to 3. So this is quite limited to 2 or 3. It's not a 3, it's a 2, which keeps both options available. This has to be 1 next to the 6. May as well use the rest of this German whisper line. This is now a 2-3 pair to make this add up to 5. This one gives me a 4, a 1, a direction on this black KROPKI pair. Not pair, triplet. This is at least a 2. This is therefore at least a 7, but it can go 8 or 9. No 5. I'm just looking at this white KROPKI dot and just thinking that this could be interesting, but we'll come back to it. Let's do easy things. Again, we started with this whole V. We may as well carry on. All of these have to be low because obviously this is 1, 2, 3, or 4. In fact, it is specifically 2 or 4, and this is 1 or 3 because you can see 1, 3 are looking in there, and therefore the partner will be 1, 3. All of these have to be high, reds. These are 2 low digits. Again, 1, 2 would make this 3 or 4, and this would be 1 or 2. This is, whatever this cell is, it's essentially the equivalent of the sum of these two. So this cell can't be that big. In fact, I'm going to say this cell can't be that big. It's almost certainly a 1, because the options are 1 and 4. Now, even if I pair this with a 6, 4 and 6, which is impossible, by the way, that still comes up to 10. I can't write 10 in a single cell. So this is clearly the 1. This is 1 more than whatever this cell is. And it's not 8. This is 6 or 7. Can't be a 9 because that would make this a 10. To be 1 more, this is 7 or 8. We've got a 7, 8 pair. That is a 6. That is a 7. Whatever this cell is, I'm just thinking about what it is, actually. I feel like it's a 9. You see, if this is 6, that would be 7, because it has to be 1 more than whatever this cell is. That's a 7, that would be 8. No, it can be 6. Whatever it is, it's not 7 or 8, because if this is 6, that would be 7. If this is 7, that would be 8. And it's not 7 or 8, this is 6 or 9. That's my options. Over here, because 1 is still available, that can still be a 6. This is 1, 2, or 3. This is adding up to a fairly sizable number. Let me think about this for a second. Now, it's a very strange setup. I know that this cell is a 5. None of these are 5. That's a 5. I know that 1 is in here. That gives me 2 and 3. There's a 4 in there now, plus, well, a high digit. So let's think about this for a moment. 6 and 1 would be 7. So 7 plus 9 would make this, if this is 6, that would be 9. So 6 and 1 would be 7. With a 9, that would be 16. 2 and 5 would make this 7. Remember, I need to have a 4 in here. So that would be 17. Essentially, I need a 10 in here. That would be 4, 6. That breaks. 6, 1 would be 7. From the 6, 9 option, that would be 9. Or another way to look at it, that would be 16. I'd have a 7 in here. I'd need to add up to 9 to get to... I keep messing up the maths. Let's try this again. If this is 6, that's 1. That's 7. Plus 9, that's 16. Because that's a 7, that would need to add up to 9 to get to 16, and 4, 5 is not available. Really complicated way of saying this is 7, this is 8. This is 8 now, plus either a 6 to make 14. That would be therefore 7 plus 4 and 3, which it isn't. So this is 7 and 9. That is 18. Sorry, 17. And this is 17. That is correct. So this is 7. This needs to add up to 10. That is 4 and 6. That is better. I feel like I really made that quite complicated. Way more than it should have been. This is another 1, 3. That's not a 6 or a 7. This is 8 or 9. In fact, that is another 8 or 9. We know what the rest of this is. This is 5, 6, and 4. So 4, 5, 6. Not a 4, not a 5, just because of these two cells. Interesting. If that's 2 or 4, I mean, this still can be 9. I mean, the only thing that it isn't is a 6. So this is 7, 8, or 9. Is there room to use? So my option, so I have quite a few options here. I could do 2 with 7, 8, making this 17. 2 with 7, 9. So essentially I have 17, 18, 19. Then you double it because this has to be the same. So this is 34, 36, or 38. Leaving a remainder that is either, yeah, it's not easy, it's not very useful. Let me just think about this. 36, 30, no, hang on. This could be 2, so it could be 7, 8 with a 2, that's 14. Sorry, 17. 7, 8 with a 2, that's 17, that would be 34. Right, so these are my options, which would leave a remainder of either 11, 9, or 7 to be placed in these two cells. And there's so many options in here that I'm not sure this is useful. I am going to remove this. Just going to use the fact that this is a 2. That was there ages. That's 1, 4. That 4 tells me that's 1. That's 4. This is 3. This is 2. Doesn't help me with my 7, 8, 9. That's already at 5. Which is quite far from all of the options that I have here. So if I remember correctly, no, but I have 2 cells, so I can get to probably any of them. 8 and 9 with a 2 is 17, 19. 19 minus 5 would leave me with 14. That's still... But hang on, 8 and 9 doesn't work because 5, 8 are not available. Sorry, 5, 9 are not available and 6, 8 is not available if I put 8 and 9 in here. So this is not 8, 9. There's definitely a 7. In fact, I have a 9 here. Sleuth, sleuth, sleuth. Come on. This is 17. Minus 5 is 12. I need 12 in here. I have 3, 9. I don't have 4, 8, and I don't have 5, 7. It is just 3, 9. And finally, I have in here 6 and 5 and 6 for 11. That is an 8. And that is a 5. Sometimes I really made things a little bit hard for me today. That 4 gives me 6 and 4. This is another 7, 8. That 8, in fact, actually just resolves the 7, 8. This is a known digit. It is a 5, which gives me 8 and 5. This 3 here gives me the 9 and 3. This 5 gives me the 6 and 5. I need a 1, which can only be in here. A 4, which can only be in there. And then a 6, which is in neither of these. This is now a 7, 8, 9 triplet, with this being 7, 9. This is 7, 8, or 9. Okay. So it feels like this white KROPKI dot is going to be quite material. So we've done 1, 2, 3. No 5, so it means that's not 4, 5. No 4 in here either. That's the 4. We now know that 7, 8, 9 are gone. This is a 6. And it can't be 6, 5. It is 6, 7. Not a 7. That's an 8, 9 pair. That allows me to place a digit, which is a 5. That's not a 7 either. If I place something, yep, that's 6. Gives me 4. That's not 4. That 5 gives me 6 and 5. The 1, 3 is not resolved. The 8, 9 is resolved. Looks like it's coming up to 8, 9, 7, 9, 7, 8, 9. It's coming up to essentially the last box to resolve it all. So I have another 8, 9 plus a 6. And that 6 tells me that's the 6. This can't be an 8. It's a 9, 8, 9, 7. This will hopefully solve the rest of this. That's 8 as well. That's 9. That's 7. That's 9. That 9 gives me 8 and 9. The 1, 3 is still not resolved, and the 2, 3 is not resolved, but I'm sure with a bit of Sudoku it will. 1 could go in plenty of places. 2 and 3. Let me just focus on things that have to be placed. 7. That's 7. This is 1, 2, or 3. It's 1 or 2. This is also known. It's an 8. And presumably this is another 1, 2. Right. I am missing something. 7 can't be next to a 3. That's 2. That's 3. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And if I've not made any mistakes, that's 1 for the finish. That's a lovely puzzle, AverageCrow. A bit clumsy from me at times, as you can see. I was looking at things like that 7 and 2, 3 for a while. I had placed the 9 and the 6, but ignored the fact that I couldn't get the 7 and 8 for so long. I had placed, I don't know, what was it, a 4 or a 1, one of them anyway, and then kept staring at a 2, 3 for so long. So there's a few places where it just could have been way simpler than I made it seem. Regardless, I hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle. There are many other puzzles that I would say probably German Whispers is quite relevant for it. So I will recommend the German Whisper playlist that's coming up next from the YouTube recommendation algorithm for you. But the variant Killer Cage is very interesting. I hope we see that again. Hope you enjoyed the puzzle, and bye-bye for now.